As you can see, these could all be potentially used as a way to treat somebody either without doing manipulation or to do it before doing manipulation to kind of just like relax them. So the bridging traction, again, the hands would kind of come up like this, so my fingers are in the extensor muscle group, and they just kind of pull laterally. And then you kind of just relax them, go a little bit lower, and you kind of pull laterally. Most people's necks, you're going to get kind of 1 and 2. Unless somebody's got like giraffe neck, you might do 3. But most people, I've had a few people who've been, their neck has been so short, maybe like a Klippel-Feil syndrome, I only get like a chance to get 1. Like no neck, yeah. No neck Ron. It'd probably only be 1 bowstring. And then the bridging is, again, my hands are held like this, and my fingers go into the arch of C1. So again, the way you would find that is the mastoid processes, the spinous processes C2. You just put the difference, and you just kind of hold a hand there. And then the last one is the suboccipital traction, and you're kind of coming like a V, and then your thenar eminences are being in the suboccipital region, and they just provide a little bit of a support thing. So again, so this is kind of what it looks like. So I find that the spinous processes just kind of go a little bit lateral to them, and just kind of push up and then out a little bit. So this is not like real dramatic, but this is pushing the muscles laterally. You could do this all the way down the spine if in fact they were laying prone. I can demonstrate that when we're done so you can see it. It's another soft tissue technique that can be done. And then, when I let go, I just don't let go like so it goes like a, what do you call it, a rubber band, boink. So I just kind of like slowly relax it, kind of go a little bit lower. Same thing, kind of push up and then just kind of pull out. And again, this is cycling healing energy. You could be talking about, whatever, or not talking. And then bridging traction. And this is where you're having short nails is helpful. You don't want to Wolverine somebody here and tip them out. And then in his kind of occipital region is in my thenar, hypothenar eminences. And I'm not really like pushing up, I'm just holding the weight of his head. So quite often what you should be able to feel as the patient begins to relax is their head will seem to get heavier. And sometimes they'll have that sense where it seems to drop like that a little bit just because it's gotten relaxed. Sometimes, when you work with the patient, you're putting them like this, they're actually just kind of holding their head there. Like if I took my hands away, they'd still kind of be up in space, So you just want to get that appreciation. Yes, they're relaxed. No, they're not. And then the last one, again, is the occipital traction. And again, as I'm doing this, I'm resting my elbows on my knees, so I don't have to kind of be like in space like that. Just kind of down like that. And my thumbs just kind of go along that articular pillar, kind of the SCM, and then I just kind of pull back a little bit. And you can kind of see as I pull back, like kind of with long axis extension that we learned last quarter, his leg or toes would point, but you can see a little bit his toes kind of, so I know that I've got traction all the way through. This is primarily going to affect his upper cervical region because that's the spot that I'm directly, related or holding onto. And then again, this could be held for as long as you feel is necessary. Because I'm resting on my thighs here, I'm not really getting tired by this. Okay, so that's just those that you can practice as well. So now muscle energy technique, as I described in class, it is a big long description of it, but basically it's a series of contractions against resistance. And in the cervical region, the explanation of it is pretty well seen. You want to put a muscle group into its action, kind of a maximum way, and then you kind of go towards neutral. So for example, in the cervical region, I'm going to do cervical extension, I'm going to do cervical lateral bending, and I'm going to do cervical rotation. So for extension, I would put the patient into extension, so his neck muscles are into extension, right? Then I'm going to have him go ahead and extend, push your head back into my hands, about half of your force. Okay, relax. So I'm going to pretty much go through this the way that it should be. So it's 3 to 5 seconds on, 5 to 7 seconds off. And then I'm going to put him a little bit, eventually I want to end up in neutral, where there's no extension, right? So the first one is as much as you can get. The next one is kind of about halfway between neutral and full on. Go ahead and push back in my hands. Okay, relax. Your relaxation port is important. This is, again, it's a Golgi tendon reflex. And so when they're doing this, it makes the muscle contract, right? That puts pressure on the tendon. And so then the relaxation phase allows the patient to have the tendon relax as well. So the muscle relaxes and the tendon relaxes with the Golgi tendon reflex. So that provides elongation. And that elongation typically is a state of relaxation, so the muscle relaxes. Push straight back to my hands. And so it's usually about half my force, or half of your force. Okay, let yourself relax. So 3 to 5 seconds on, about 5 to 7 seconds off. And then for lateral bending, I'm going to put him into lateral bend, and then I want you to go ahead and push your head to your right side, please. Let yourself relax. So I usually say about half of your force, because you say use 20 to 40%. You know, people are like, what? Most people can figure out about half of your force. And then we go back this way, about halfway. Go ahead and push.
What does that mean, half your force?
I want him to go as hard as he can.
Oh, okay.
So about, half of your effort.
Okay.
Now back to neutral. Push back to the right. Okay, just relax. So this is an isometric contraction. It's not really like a muscle test necessarily where, I'm going to be pushing against him. I'm just holding it, so he's just doing isometrics. And so this becomes therapeutic, for the patient. Now to get to the other side, I just kind of bring him over here. Now push to the left. Okay, good. Just up the line. Push back to the left. Good, that's just up the line. Okay, push back to the left again. Good, that's just up the left. So I usually would tell a patient, I'm going to do muscle energy technique, which is a technique, used to, how you put some force with your muscles, creates a contraction, which ends up making the muscle relax. And so then they're like, oh, okay, so they put two and two together. Because, if you just do this, you don't tell them why, and quite often it doesn't tend to help with the ultimate response that you want. So now for rotation, I'm going to have them rotate to the right. Now what I want you to do is keep looking over like your right shoulder, about half of your force.
So he's looking.
Yes, he's rotating to the right. Okay. Sometimes people don't know what rotation to the right means. So I'm like to look like you're looking over your shoulder. And when the patient does this, you're able to tell in your hands, are they really doing it or not doing it? Are they kind of pushing a different direction? Like he might just be pushing his head straight to the table. I'm like, no, I want you to look. You can kind of feel that. Now I'm going to put him a little bit less into rotation. So rotate back to the right. Okay, just up the line. And then back to neutral. Okay, rotate to the right again. Okay, just up the line. Okay, rotate to the left. Just up the line. Rotate to the left. Just up the line. Okay, rotate to the left. Good. Just up the left. Then after that, maybe I would do, this stretch again. And sometimes, I might, in terms of doing those traction holds, I might end with this one. And then I would go ahead to do the manipulation. So another thing that you can do with the muscle energy, those were just, extension, rotation, and lateral bend, right? So those are pretty, I guess, just generic. But if you had a lesion where you said, like, and that spot is like right in there, you can put him in that place and say, now I want you to rotate back against my pressure in the location where the lesion would be. And that might be a little bit more direct, and then you can kind of feel and say, yeah, look, I loosened up a little bit, and change it a little bit. So there's other ways that you can apply this, and then you can do this on any kind of muscle group, although I tend to use it in the cervical region, and I also tend to use it in the lumbar. I don't really use it in other places. But it can be used in really any muscle. All right, so let's practice the traction holds, and then you can run through the muscle energy, okay?